Okay, Orlando Wilson here. And what I want to talk about in this video is people that think they're travelers, that think they're well traveled, but they're not. And I've come across this quite often. And in my business, the investigation, close protection business, which you can end up traveling for extended periods of time and dealing with different cultures for extended periods of time. Um, how can I put it? There's a big difference between somebody who thinks they're well traveled and somebody that's actually a traveler. Now, to put it into context, I know plenty of people, that's been in the military, they've been to plenty of different countries, but they've always been on military bases, usually their own, well, of course, their own country's military bases. So all they're dealing with is really their own culture. And they have little perspectives of the local culture, etc., because they might bump into the local culture during the day, or they might see them at night, and then they're back in their base eating their own food, watching their TVs, etc., dealing with their own people. There's a big difference between that and somebody that actually goes and lives with a different culture, a different community in a different country, that immerses themselves in that culture. In my business, and I think in life in general, I think these days I don't class myself as having a country. I just wander around, and I'm not too hot on patriotism and all the rest of it, because to me it's just complete and utter BS. Maybe that's due to the fact I've lived in different countries, with different cultures, with different religions, and I can see things from all sides. And I go out my will. A lot of people find it difficult to see things from all sides because they only understand their perspective from their culture, etc. In my business, I need to be able to see things from all sides, and it helps greatly to see things from all sides. The other aspects of people that think they're traveled are people that, okay, they might have been to different countries, but they go on cruises, tours, etc., stay in all-inclusive resorts, and they don't go outside the compounds, outside of the wires. Why? Usually because it's too dangerous. A lot of these all-inclusive resorts are generally in pretty shady areas. They might be luxury resorts, but they're surrounded by poverty. Now, to me, to me in general, it's a bonus if you travel and understand different cultures, or at least get to experience different cultures. In my business, as I say, I need to understand different cultures. And many times I've ended up living in different countries with different people from different religions, from different cultures. And it is a learning experience, which I say is a positive. Might be a bit rough at times, a bit strange at times, but it's a positive experience. Let me give you a couple of stories. I'm very wary these days. And this is one thing when, if I'm going overseas, I'm taking other people with me, I'm very wary who I take. Why? I need to make sure that those people can actually fit in with the culture where we're going, and they're going to be able to handle it and deal with it. One story, one guy I was dealing with, or one job I'd done quite a few years ago now in Africa. There was an American with us, a dog handler. Before I go any further, he was a solid guy, really good guy. He was just too American, and I mean that in the good way. And he was into the fitness, into the bodybuilding, everything else. Where we were, he didn't eat the food. He hated the food. He couldn't eat the food. He was living on rice and eggs. He lost a lot of weight very, very quickly. He expected the job, being a dog handler, to be a contracting job, where he's on a US type base, US food, TV, internet, gym, etc. He got a very rough welcome to Africa, where at times he was lucky to have power and water. So for that guy, I respect him because he was honest to say, this is not for me. He ended up coming off the job, and rightly so, because it wasn't what he expected or told to expect. And solid guy, but the job wasn't for him. Another guy, and this is where in some ways I've said to people, at least if I know somebody's been in the military, then hopefully they're not going to get homesick if they need to go somewhere for an extended period of time. And people laughed at me saying, oh, well, big bad bodyguards, security contractors don't get homesick. Bullshit. It only takes one problem at home and people can be whining and crying. Somebody that can witness this is my good friend and associate, Jerry Arachea in Mexico. And we was doing one job where the person with us happened to be American. And apparently, well, he was ex-military. I'm not going to say what, but he was ex-military. Really had a little bit of a meltdown because one of his dogs died, or one of his dogs at home were taken sick. And you know what? There we are training Mexican cops. And to be honest with you, it's coming up towards an end of a course. Everybody's exhausted. We've been kicking our asses for, I don't know, 16 days. And we got somebody having a meltdown because one of their dogs has died at home, or one of their dogs is sick, or something that's not relevant to the task in hand. I think the guy was too stressed. He didn't like the environment. He didn't like this. He didn't like that. And the fact one of his dogs was sick triggered him, which at that point we didn't particularly care because we'd written him off anyway. But it shows how a lot, I say, he was missing his home. He was missing his dogs, which is something which I understand, but I don't understand. Especially if you're in the close protection business, contracting business, training business, etc. So this is where, to me these days, when I'm looking at people and they say, oh, we've traveled, we've done this, we've done that. Okay, where have you been? What have you done? You're a tourist. There's a big difference between a tourist and a traveler. To me, a traveler is somebody that's been to certain places, that's immersed themselves in different cultures and spent time with different cultures. As I said, I think I said earlier, I'm not sure if I said it, an Arab friend of mine said, Syrian, if you spend 40 days with a tribe, you become part of that tribe. And you know what? That makes sense to me. I think 40 days is a minimum you need to actually begin to understand a different culture. And that's when you're living with that culture, living with them, eating with them, sleeping with them. Then you begin to understand that culture. And again, for positives and negatives. We've all got prejudices, but it takes time for us to start to see things from different perspectives. As I say, these days, I don't class myself as, how can I put it? I'm happy wandering. I'm not really into countries, patriotism, everything else. I think to me that's all complete and utter BS. If you understand, if you travel enough, you begin to understand people and your perspectives will change. That can be for a positive, that can be for a negative. It depends how you look at it. But to me, it's a positive. So, in the meantime, I've got more of these videos going up on close protection, security, travel, investigations, kidnap and ransom, life skills, etc., etc. So, follow me along on social media. I have an array of books up on Amazon to talks about various aspects of close protection, business, investigations, crime fiction, and there should be a couple more books going up in 2024. Today is December 31st, 2023, so we're making the jump over tonight. So, as always, in the meantime, be good, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and as I say, I don't see anything wrong. If you got nothing to lose, well, everybody's got something to lose. If you got the time, if you got the money, if you can afford it, go get on a plane, go somewhere and spend time, immerse yourself in a different culture. To me, the tourism stuff is really BS. Go somewhere, rent an apartment, live somewhere for a few months and immerse yourself. That way you begin to understand. That's how you begin to understand different cultures, different people, and maybe appreciate the world for a little more of what it is.